Burnout Paradise Remastered is a game, Jake Kulkowski.
Yes, about cars, Mike Williams.
Burning out paradises. Paradise City is the location of Burnout Paradise.
And also the theme song.
Also the theme song, which is slapped right across the face as soon as you boot up the game. You get some Guns N' Roses pumping into your ears, that's a horrible choice of words. So the game Burnout Paradise Remastered is out on PS4 and Xbox One on March the 16th. It is, of course, a remaster of 2008's Burnout Paradise, open world arcade driving game about driving really fast and also crashing.
Really fast
crashing. The remaster was actually only announced a month ago, so this has been a pretty quick turnaround. They've already got it out of the gate. The PC release is coming via EA's Origin platform later this year at some point. The remaster contains all the DLC and support for 4K resolution, 60 frames a second gameplay. They don't really make games like Burnout Paradise anymore, do they?
Well, no. I mean, the last mainline Burnout game was this one, and it was 10 years ago now.
Yeah. 10 whole years, man.
And it was like some...
Christ, I'm old.
Yeah, it makes you feel weird, doesn't it? I mean, it was 2011, I think they had like an iPhone game that they ported to PS3 and 360. But yeah, they just don't anymore. Like, racing games have either gone full Mario Kart or they've gone full make sure you do your manual gear changes.
Yes.
It's like, it's either NASCAR or banana peels. This is a nice balance
exactly
between
in the middle.
It's a great casual game, and a lot of people that you know who aren't into games will have known and probably enjoyed Burnout, and that's certainly the case for me anecdotally. But to see the last one be remastered rather than any of the previous installments might be a surprise to some people, but it makes a lot of sense when you see how they've recently ported it to PC, for example.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. Before we actually go into looking into this game, I think that it is going to sell well. It's going to be popular. I think it is one of them games like Crash Bandicoot and the Crash Insane trilogy, just especially in the UK. Anecdotally, it feels like a lot of people have got fond memories of Burnout. But Burnout Paradise feels like it was like the most straightforward remaster for reasons we will get into, and it seems like the quickest turnaround they could have had on a Burnout game.
It's the safest one they could have done.
But for me, it shows that they're interested in the series, and they think that there is money in the series, so maybe one day they will move
It's kind of the way things are going at the moment, isn't it? Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy was Activision putting the feelers out and seeing how well this sort of market would work for them, and then they've announced that they will be remaking something else later. So is this EA's way of testing the water to see if they're going to bring Burnout back after a 10-year hiatus? So if it sells well, it'll be a victory for Burnout fans everywhere, because they'll finally get a new one. I mean, I can imagine that's going to be the case, really. But
you'd hope so. You'd certainly hope so, the way this has turned out anyway. So I've played about 6 or 7 hours. Played it over the weekend, maybe a bit more actually, to be honest. I played on the PS4 Pro. To be honest, it looks really nice. It runs great. Burnout Paradise is a great game, and there's 3 things it gets completely right, if you ask me. It looks good, it feels good to race, and it feels good to crash. That is essentially everything you need from a Burnout game, right? And it does all that really well. It's very arcadey, like you said. It's feet up on the coffee table kind of game. Very casual, nothing wrong with that. It's perfect like Saturday morning fodder for me. Just not thinking too much about it. It's got a pretty addictive progression loop as well, so there's cars that you can unlock, and it's about taking part in these events that are dotted around the city. If you're unfamiliar with Burnout Paradise, it's an open world game, so you drive up to like a traffic stop, a set of traffic lights, and you just put the brake down and rev the engine, and then you take that event starts, and then you complete a certain number of those events, you get a new driver's license, and then that driver's license kind of raises the game a little bit. All the events refresh, and you get probably a new car, and all the whole game, all the game is about driving and crashing. We've already said that, but that is as simple as that, but it's really
satisfying.
Yeah, and it's
satisfying as a crash can be, I suppose.
It bloody is good. And the animations and stuff, the physics, the way the bonnet crumples up and stuff, it is kind of a fetishization almost of just like, oh, look how ridiculous that crash is.
I could never do this in real life.
Yeah, and and there's the DLC stuff, so there's motorbikes on there, which you can die, you can have a horrific motorbike crash, and then like black, fade to black, and then you're back on your motorbike like nothing happened. It's really beautiful. It's really good.
I think that's one of the main selling points of the remaster, because if you haven't got an Xbox, you might not know this, but Xbox have the games with gold system, which is kind of like the PlayStation Plus thing, where you're paying for the privilege of playing online, but to sweeten the deal, you get games for free. In December, they gave out Burnout Paradise, the original one, but backwards compatibility. So if you've got that, you might be thinking, okay, so what's this getting 30 quid out of me? Which is the price normally set now by remakes. Shadow of the Colossus, Insane Trilogy was a remake. Well, each game was a remake, and they're the same price point. So what is it that's going to give you that sort of value? I suppose the answer is really the DLC packs, which is the entire DLC content library from the original game, if I'm correct. You got the toy cars.
It's pretty much, yeah. The only thing they haven't included is like there were some shortcut passes that, you know, basically speeded things up and unlocked the cars for you. So you haven't got that, but you've got all the main DLC from Burnout. So yeah, that's a load of cars. That's a new area, big surf island or something like that. I've just made that up, I think, but it was something like that. It's the same exact principle, but playing that doesn't actually affect the main meta game from the first game where you're driving up the trying to upgrade your driving license and stuff. That doesn't cross over, so there's really kind of no point. So that is one of my first big problems with the game, is the DLC, the way that's implemented. You get all of these super powered,
this is exactly it,
super strong, super fast cars right out of the gate, and it confused me to begin with, because I was like, well, what? Because I didn't get any of the DLC, right? When I first played it, I didn't remember any of these cars, and I just kind of jumped into one of the best ones, and I was like, well, this is ace. Where do I go from here? And I realized I was unlocking a couple of cars that were weaker, and I was like, oh, so this is just the DLC. It's essentially massively unbalanced the game right on the bat.
It's something that a lot of games that release like complete editions face, because, you know, DLC is supposed to be like, you know, take yourself back to 2008. You're playing Burnout Paradise, you've been playing it for a couple of months, you're pretty good, you've got a decent car, yeah? And then you get the DLC pack. The DLC pack can't have loads of weak cars because it won't make sense at the time. But now, 10 years later, when you get the game and you've unlocked all these super power, like, because you've got the strength and the speed of all the cars, acceleration. I mean, there's cars with superchargers. Super's in the title, and it's like maxed out, and that's the starter car if you want it to be, and you think, what the hell? It's the thing, it's the battle. It's not really a problem with the port. It's not a problem with the remasters. It's just something that happens when you release complete editions of games. The context is kind of lost a little bit, and it staggers progression. You're right, that's your starting car, but it could also be the car you use all the way through the game.
Yeah, exactly. So that's probably the first thing, and the second problem is essentially that it's just a little bit cheeky to be calling this a remaster, to be honest, because it looks and sounds exactly like Burnout Paradise, and that's the and that's a good thing. Burnout Paradise is good, it looks good, but whether or not this is good value proposition at 30 quid, I don't know, or £35 even. You know, it's compared to as you were pointing out earlier, like the Sony remakes, which are remakes, the Ratchet and Clank and
the remakes, that's from zero, building it up again.
Yeah, completely recreating the game at a sub price, and then Wipeout if you want a racing comparison, and that's 3 games, and that is an excellent value proposition at less than £30, 27 quid or whatever when it came out. I don't know, I think it's a bit of a tough sell. I think so, especially because the PC port offers the same 4K 60 FPS proposition, and like I say, the backwards that's not remastered, that's just Burnout Paradise from 2008.
Exactly. So the resolution, it does look good. The textures look a little bit leaner, but I don't know if that's just because everything's looking a bit crisper on a bigger resolution.
It does look good.
It looks as good as I can remember it, and I'm not expecting there to be any gameplay tweaks and changes. You need to realise that a remake is completely different than a remaster. So to hold Burnout Paradise at the standard of something like Shadow of the Colossus is ridiculous. But I mean, what I'm trying to say is that's the bar, that's the pricing bar.
Now.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're getting 3 classic games of the Insane Trilogy for that same price, remade from scratch. This is essentially a PC port and a DLC could argue for quite a high price.
Yeah, it feels on the surface just like an effort to bring over the game to the current gen of consoles, and the fact that it's coming to PC, I can't really see the real benefit other than the fact that that's going to be the definitive version for anyone who wants it from that point on. Yeah, it's the DLC, and obviously there's under the hood changes and stuff, but essentially the gameplay from 2008 is still exactly as it was, warts and all. The game is incredibly hands off with the player, which is good. It's a good thing and part of the real appeal of Burnout. You just do whatever you want right from the beginning. It doesn't direct you in any real way.
No tutorial screens every 2 seconds.
No, not at all. It's like the radio DJ is the guy telling you, oh, remember that you can do this, and remember that there's like billboards that you need to jump through and whatever. So that's how they dictate the gameplay, and that is why it's so good and so fun to play. But the bad thing about that is the waypoint system or the direction. So it'll just say race from here to here on the map. It'll show you the map, and then that's it. It doesn't like gate off a track on the roads. It doesn't give you a big arrow on the top of the screen. All it gives you is a point on the map, and also the street signs will say if you need to take the next left. A new street sign will appear on the top left, which by the way is absolutely brilliant as a bit of design. I love that. It's really good, right? But the downside of that is you can take a wrong turn in, which is incredibly simple to do.
To me all the time.
It's very very easily done. The game, for a game about going really fast, it doesn't bring things to an absolute screaming halt sometimes, right? And so you'll end up like taking a wrong turn, you like slam the handbrake, you'll turn around, do a U-turn, suddenly you've gone from first to eighth. But there are points like that where you'll be, almost at the end of like a 3 or 4 minute race. You'll have to do the whole race again, but to do it again, you can't reset. You've got to drive back to the start line, re-rev your engine at the traffic stop, and do the whole thing again like that.
Well, actually, I think they have now added that. It's right on the D-pad twice, and you can retry it. It wasn't in there. Now, we've had it a little bit early, but I noticed there's been a patch since, and you can now retry it whilst you're in the event.
Right. So before launch, then that'll be in there for players when it comes launch.
Up. And it is also worth noting, if you're an Xbox player, you can use, is it EA Access, to play the game for 10 hours before launch, which is, they've been doing that quite a lot.
And, so you get a 10-hour preview of, as you do with all.
Yeah, so some of you guys watching this video might well have played it, but if you have missed that, they have now just added that feature. So it's something that's getting added to. Yeah. So they are listening to feedback, because that's something that a lot of people has gripes with. I saw, I think Eurogamer also said a similar thing, and it does seem a bit annoying. The fact that you can't change your car on the fly, you have to go to a garage again. It's a dated mechanic, but it's because the game is dated. And
exactly. So that's what I was getting at there. It is the game from 2008, and that's just something you should bear in mind.
This is what you expect. Well, if you're expecting something else, I think that's your fault there, really.
Yeah, you dick. So it's essentially Burnout Paradise. The bottom line of all this, I think, is essentially that Burnout Paradise is a good game. It's very fun to play. A great casual game. Like, put your feet up and just don't even worry about it. A really good arcade racer that has got some lovely crash mechanics and the boosting system and stuff. It's just really fun to use. At the price that it's coming out and stuff, it might be worth, if you're itching to play a bit of Burnout, I would probably say, maybe wait a little bit before you pick it up. But if you're interested, then it's just the game that you remember, but maybe a little bit shinier and crisper.
Yeah, if you're a PS4 player, you won't have the option to get the backwards compatible one, and you might not have a PC to play it. So PS4 players, definitely look out for this one.
If you missed it back in 2008, especially as well.
Yeah, or you've never played the Burnout game, because the last one was 10 years ago, and you might be quite a youngling. So who knows? But
exactly,
quite pricey. But the amount of fun you can have with it could make it very well worth it. That's my opinion, anyway.
Burnout Paradise Remastered is out on March 16th on PS4 and Xbox One. PC version to follow very soon. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.